Let me put my cards firmly down on the table. I don't like Kemi Badenoch. I don't like Robert Jenrick. But in this latest exchange, Jenrick has retaliated against Kemi Badenoch's criticism that at least she wasn't sacked. He's called for a plea for unity and an outright dismissal of her jabs as pure garbage. His response comes after Badenoch's veiled remarks in the Daily Telegraph, where she emphasised that she'd never been sacked, implicitly pointing to Jenrick's past controversies, such as his reversal of a housing approval for businessman Richard Desmond. And Jenrick's approval, given just before a council tax increase, saved Desmond millions, sparking accusations of impropriety. And though Jenrick later reversed the decision, the episode ended with his dismissal by Boris Johnson. Have a look here at the exchange on GB News.
There's a bit of blue on blue in this Sunday Telegraph. Kemi Badenoch says that at least she has never been sacked and has suggested there's a whiff of impropriety about you. She's referring to the time that you were sacked by Boris Johnson. This was over you granting permission for Richard Desmond to do that development in West Ferry. That meant that he could have saved a potential 40 million quid. You then had to go back on that decision. At the time, you accepted that your decision was technically unlawful but denied any bias, though lawyers acting for you did admit the case could lead to the fair-minded observer to conclude that there was a possibility of bias. So you were involved in a bit of controversy back in 2020 that saw you lose your job. She makes a point then, doesn't she, about impropriety? Is there a whiff of impropriety about you, Mr. Jenrick?
Well, look, firstly, on the issue itself, I'd just note that a couple of weeks ago, the Labour-controlled Tower Hamlets Council approved the very same scheme.
Yes.
All these years later, millions of pounds wasted, and I will never be ashamed of trying to get homes built in this country.
I know.
Getting young people onto the housing ladder. But the point about Kemi's remarks in the paper, let me address that directly. I am proud of the way this long contest has been conducted. Pretty, Mel, Tom Tugendhat, James Cleverly. We have worked together as a team. We've debated ideas and policies. It is a great shame that Kemi has chosen at this last minute to sully that, to trade personal attacks and
there
insults.
Are people on behalf of you. There are people on behalf of you. Go on.
If Kemi does this to Conservative colleagues, this will be the death of the Conservative Party. I want to end the drama. I want to end these petty disputes, the misinformation. The public are sick to death of this.
OK, hang on a minute.
This kind of garbage needs to end now.
All right, but supporters of yours like David Campbell-Bannerman, they've been tweeting out all sorts of things. Picture of Kemi and then the words missing. Have you seen Kemi's plan? Neither have we. We've also had briefings coming out of your camp in some way or other, your supporters or whatever, describing Kemi Badenoch as crazy and lazy. So I don't think anyone's particularly behaved with any honour.
With respect, these comments are just pure garbage.
Yeah.
This is misinformation. This is petty personal attacks. I want to unite the Conservative Party.
Yes.
Your viewers are sick of this rubbish. They want it to end. You cannot claim to be a unity candidate and go making ad hominem attacks on Conservative colleagues.
Right.
If this is the manner in which Kemi would conduct herself as leader of the party has no future. It has to end.
I'm going to ask her that because she's coming on after you.
So here, Jenrick has decried Badenoch's petty personal attacks, calling them a divisive move that risks destroying the Conservative Party. And while he defended his record as Housing Secretary and announced Badenoch's tone as destructive, which it was, he underscored his intent to unify the party. Badenoch, however, doubled down, claiming her comments merely stated public knowledge and contrasted her integrity with Jenrick's alleged compromises. Well, the exchange isn't just political theatre. It underscores Badenoch's streak of defiance and her sulkiness. She doesn't ever like to be told that she's wrong. I remember very clearly when she was rebuked on I think it was the 11th of May. It was the day before my birthday. It was definitely the 11th of May. And I don't remember what year it was. Oh, my goodness, 2023. The 11th of May 2023, she was rebuked by Lindsay Hoyle for sharing details of the government's policy on EU retained laws with the media before informing Parliament. And Hoyle stressed that MPs should hear announcements first-hand in the Commons, not through media outlets. And Badenoch responded by expressing regret over the sequencing, but maintaining her stance, sparking tension over parliamentary decorum and government communications priorities. In other words, she was simply sulky, and she behaved like some sort of gutter snipe. It was appalling. It was appalling behaviour, and completely beneath the behaviour of somebody who has been given the honour of speaking from the dispatch boxes. If I had been the Speaker of the House of Commons, I can assure you I would never have had her in the Commons again, let alone allowed her to speak from the dispatch boxes again. She was rude and she was sulky. And I think, though Jenrick is by far, is certainly not wonderful, he's not got that sulky nastiness about him which Kemi Badenoch has got. If somebody doesn't like her, she is never going to give way. She maintains a grudge. She nurtures a grudge. It's horrible to watch. And this was a breach she defended as prioritising public transparency over parliamentary procedure, and the incident revealed Badenoch's willingness to sidestep convention, much to Hoyle's irritation, and it's indicative of her penchant for directive, divisive communication. Jenrick's latest response calls for an end to the drama and the petty disputes, suggesting he sees Badenoch's campaign style as symptomatic of a broader fragmentation within the party. He is right. If Badenoch wins, the party is over. Similarly, if Jenrick wins, the party is over. This is the end of the Conservative Party, unless something extraordinary happens. And that extraordinary happening, the only extraordinary happening that I can imagine, is that Jenrick changes her tone. Because not Jenrick, the Badenoch changes her tone because it's Jenrick's content which is so unpalatable. It's Badenoch's tone which is unpalatable. If her tone were to change, which I think is highly unlikely, then she could unite the party. If Badenoch's content were to change, well, then he has fought an election campaign on a lie. But his call to focus on policy and teamwork contrasts sharply with Badenoch's provocative style, which continues to raise questions about the Conservatives' future unity. I think the Conservatives will break apart in the process of this Parliament. I think this will be the last Parliament where we will see a united and a complete Conservative Party. These two individuals will destroy it.